speaking to him before the season start. Very keen to get some games on stage, so good to see him finally get the chance. And a lot of pressure too. As a reminder, this game locks Fnatic in first place if they find the win here. So a lot of pressure on him. Admittedly, Fnatic will get a few more chances in the days to come, but still, coming in on this kind of matchup with this kind of stakes, a lot of pressure on this guy. However, bans have come out. Olaf and Skarner both removed. Is Predator just too strong, Memento?
I mean, it's really strong. I mean, if one team bans the Olaf, you just have to ban the Skarner, or else it's like, I mean, there's no chance, I would say. And the Ryze ban as well against Caps, or Exileh, who's been showing that he played every single game with Azir and Ryze, and he's been pretty much that one trick.
So, could we get a repeat of the Rocket draft, where it's just the first pick, Caitlyn, coming in?
I think it's possible, unless they prioritize Sion higher.
Sejuani is also there with double jungle bans. Bwipo is a man who plays Cinch and solo queue. Kind of explaining the hover from him coming in here on his first game on stage.
I mean, some games he dies 10 times, and some other games he dies 2 times, you know? It's just
that's Cinch, though. That's a classic.
I mean, it's
swingy,
just a Cinch main.
swingy champion. Well, even with Caitlyn up and available, instead they are opting for the Tristana. It is Rekkles Tristana.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrifying to play against.
So, Memento, what are you looking at for Unicorns here? Sion, surely?
I mean, I would like to see them pick up Sion and maybe Sejuani, one of the stronger junglers. But also, if they don't sell out their bot lane by doing that, then we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, what do you actually pick against Rekkles Tristana when you're on the side of Unicorns alone?
I think you do the /15 and then just FF and just have a good game. That's what I would do.
They could go Caitlyn for Samux. There's the potential of, I'm just going to say it, a Kate Morgana lane.
Yeah, I would really
successful.
like to see Unicorns really punish this Tristana pick, like in lane.
It is something we've seen a lot of people struggle with. Rekkles and Hylissang always seem to get away with a lot of these picks. Even like the Sivir doesn't ever feel like anything happens to it. They will pick up the Tahm Kench though, looking to shut down some of the aggressive options here, give them a little bit more mobility on the map. Fnatic taking their time. Do you just match the support pick in the jungler here, or do you look to secure some kind of high priority mid lane pick?
I think there's a lot of supports open right now, and Hylissang has quite a champion pool, or champion ocean, so I think they should be fine with not picking support right now.
Ooh, Kha'Zix. Actually a pick that should be much better now after Tracker's Knife, yet I'm still not seeing that many teams pick it up. You already played it and you stomped with it. I want to see more of it. Why do we not see more of it?
I mean, I think the pick is like, you really have to snowball with the champion, and if you don't snowball, you're really useless, I would say. And I don't necessarily like it against Sejuani and Tahm Kench, who can save their AD carries. I think it's going to be really hard for Broxah to actually shine this game.
Yeah, especially the Caitlyn, Tahm Kench lane, so much safety. It'd be really difficult for him to get on top of a target, but they will lock in the Sion. Is still technically a flex pick. I mean, I'm not sure 100% what Caps is going to be playing, but how many teams do you think actually have the Sion flex pick ready to go after we saw it in LCK?
I think everyone. I think everyone watches LCK and they're not slow on adapting on the meta. So it's very possible it's actually a Sion mid. I would like to see that actually.
Interesting options. Unicorns love opt-to-ban supports in the second phase. Want to take some of the options off the board.
If it is a Sion mid, I'm just going to throw it out there. Bwipo plays Swain top lane in solo queue. So you can get Swain top with Sion mid.
Okay,
I'm just throwing it out there.
If this man subs in for Soaz, plays Swain top lane, and wins the game that locks Fnatic in first, that's like the most heroic start to an EU LCS career I have ever heard of.
Let's just see if it happens. It's probably Sion top, but again, I'm just saying.
No, actually.
They banned out the Cho'Gath, so that does kind of point us that they might want the Sion to sit comfortably on the top side of the map. Interesting that they're taking Taric away too. Looks like Unicorns of Love not comfortable maybe fighting against that pick.
I mean, I think Sion's is a great pick for a top laner right now, and especially if you're on your debut, so it's an easy champion, just lock on top lane, make it feel comfortable.
It's true. I wonder if we get the Morgana again for Hylissang, seeing as a lot of the melee supports are being banned away on his side, and Black Shield is effective against things like Sejuani engages.
A little less effective against the Tahm Kench, though.
Yeah, he's running out of melee support at least. Alistar is still there.
I mean, Hylissang's Alistar is definitely like on top notch as well, so he might actually lock that in as well.
Saw that a lot when Fnatic were coming back in Resurgence when they using this
old
fighting
school
comps. Unicorns
one with Shen.
No visit Chachi, still not afraid to pick it though.
So again, you could pick AP top laner here for Bwipo against the Shen and put Sion mid. Earlier today, Misfits did it with Vladimir top, so that could also be a choice for Fnatic. And specifically did that to counterpick the Shen and then put the Sion mid.
You really want to see this Swain.
I'm just saying, in the pick of bad phase, you can do it.
See the Swain, please. Just a normal pick top lane, just win the game Fnatic. We'll see.
All right. And it's going to be the Sion top lane. Taliyah will
Taliyah top lane. Taliyah top.
Okay. All right. It's not wonder here. It is Bwipo's first game. Give him a little bit of a break here. But casting up Taliyah into mid lane, not a champion we see as much in EU in general. Has been more popular in the LCK. BDD picking a lot up into the Galio matchup.
And it's taken blind in this game against it. Memento, if you were facing a blind Taliyah, what would you grab for mid lane?
I mean, I can't really play mid lane because I'm.
What would you tell your mid laner to grab?
I mean, they'll probably just grab the Kassadin, I would suggest. But it's also. I don't know, Exileh has quite a champion pool as well.
Yeah, he does like to play Kassadin.
He really does like to play Kassadin, I would say.
Also with the Shen, that's if you get out of laning phase, that's pretty good. So he has a nice prediction momentum.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's a pro in this pick
outclassed on your own desk, Deficio.
What? I asked him. I didn't make a prediction.
I know why you didn't, because you didn't know what was going to happen.
That's why I asked my guest. Thank you, Drakos.
Well done, Memento. Kassadin does get locked in. All right. So, Memento, from your perspective, what are both teams actually looking to do here? How do they actually win the game, kind of starting from early on?
I mean, I think they just want to get to mid game with the Rekkles Tristana, and they have the mid push as well early game. But if they do get to the 1-3-1 with the Kassadin on side lane, I really think he could punish Caps really hard. But it all depends on Fnatic actually snowballing, especially with the Kha'Zix pick.
Yes, if you are Broxah, what are you looking to do early game?
I mean, I'm going to camp that Kassadin like there's no tomorrow. I'm going to be there level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. And
all right.
It's going to die 10 times.
Let's see if
Wait, are you taking a break at level 6, or did you just stop counting at that point?
I mean, I might kill the enemy jungler then. We'll see.
All right, at the end of the day, Memento, as you have joined us for Picks and Bans, I do want to get a prediction from you based on the draft, based on the teams. Who do you think is actually going to take the win
I think UOL have a really good chance if they don't mess up early game.
All right.
But Fnatic might actually take it.
I'm excited to see. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Memento, for the Picks and Bans. It was a pleasure to have you on. We are now getting into game. Fnatic versus Unicorns of Love. Unicorns of Love still on the road to playoffs. Could still find a slot, but if they want to do it, they need to find a win here. Fnatic on the opposite side, bringing in a substitute for a game that could net them a locked first place. Pressure on both teams, definitely pressure on Bwipo. Match of the week about to begin, Deficio. How you feeling?
I'm excited. Glad to have Memento here. Talking about Broxah's focus in the early game around the mid lane. It is a classic when you face a Kassadin, and I gotta say, respect to Unicorns of Love and Sheepy for going with a Kassadin Shen draft in such an important game for them. They cannot afford to fall behind here in the race for playoffs for the Unicorns of Love, but it's a tough schedule, and it's starting with Fnatic.
And a tough crowd, too. Fnatic fans out in force. They want to see the first place locked. They may find it here. But Deficio, I like this from the Unicorns of Love. It reminds me of last season where they're willing to take those risks. They're willing to draft something a little bit crazy. And Kassadin, the Exile comfort pick. But my concern, Deficio, Broxah needing to be super aggressive in the early game. We saw Kha'Zix yesterday. We saw him steal Barons. We saw him steal Elder Dragons last week with Kha'Zix. But we haven't seen him snowball, get a ton of kills. He's always been kind of secondary for this squad.
We'll see. Meanwhile, on the side of Unicorns of Love, as we guys get a small pause here. Bot lane, they grabbed the Caitlyn and early Tahm Kench to try and see if they could bully the Tristana here from Rekkles. But then Janna comes in from Hylissang to create a fairly safe 2v2 lane, or at least, you know, good trading from Rekkles and Hylissang's side. But I think if you are Unicorns of Love, especially after level 6, you can kill this Janna so often. If Kassadin and Shen ever gets to go to the bottom lane with double TP in there, Shen ulti as well, they can try and destroy Hylissang. They don't need to necessarily do anything around the Sion specifically, because there's such a squishy bot lane to play against.
And I want to see how it's going to unfold. Of course, this is an in-game pause for the Unicorns of Love. League officials, wow, good start, are investigating. Keep you guys updated as to the exact cause. But we are now unpausing the game. Looks like it has been resolved. We will be getting back into game shortly, so we can continue with the level 1. Now, Deficio, there's no Morgana, so it doesn't look like anyone is going to try to kill each other.
Level 1, you mean?
Level 1, yes. Level 6, I imagine, will be a bit of a different story.
I also want to see with Caps Taliyah, because last year, for most of the year, he did not play things like Taliyah. But then coming in around Worlds, where it kind of became the meta that you needed to have Taliyah in your champ pool, because these like pushing mid laners who could then roam would be so effective. And it was actually a playstyle that seemed to suit Fnatic and Caps when he got to play it, because they were so focused around snowballing Rekkles. Now it is less about just snowballing Rekkles for Fnatic and much more about Caps' damage as well. So I want to see how he plays with Taliyah specifically, because it is a pick that requires you to be very proactive. If you fall behind on it, you are fairly useless because you can't really push and roam then, which is the kind of thing you can offer with Taliyah. So I want to see how Caps can play it, and I want to see how Broxah plays with him.
And for now, he's being quite obnoxious, using the early damage here to try to steal a couple Raptors away. Exileh still threatening a bit. But Deficio, you talk about how Caps are kind of suited for Fnatic. I feel like it's a pick that's very reminiscent of the Aurelion Soul. Obviously, roams a little bit later. Doesn't get it as early as the level 2 or the level 3 mark, but does fit Caps' style when it comes to that unique sort of pick that can just get to those side lanes.
And then, of course, against the Shen, gets a little bit harder to go bot lane and try and kill them, also with the Tahm Kench there. So we might see Fnatic try and just kill WhiteKnight, because that's often the case against Shen, is you attack him. And if you send a Kha'Zix, a Taliyah, and a Sion, that Shen dies under his turret, that's for sure. Then also get to play around Bwipo in his first game on the big stage here with Fnatic, make sure he can actually win his lane. So I think that is something Fnatic can look to do, just because it can be difficult against double teleport and a Tahm Kench to actually kill the bottom lane.
All right, expectation set potentially for playing around top, if not going mid. Currently, Caps looks quite comfortable, does have the wave pressure in his favor. Exileh, of course, going to struggle. Is using the Null Sphere to last hit, so not really going to be able to threaten Caps whatsoever. Opted for the fleet footwork as well.
Yeah.
Exileh, this is a man trying to survive, Deficio, not interested in fighting Caps whatsoever in the early game.
Not something we see very often, obviously. Movement speed might be also late game what he's going to value to kite in and out of these different fights. But yeah, I mean, early sustain. But it's fairly unique for Exileh specifically. He does have his own things he wants to do on these different mid lane picks with his keystones. Could be what actually makes the laning phase a bit easier for him specifically, but shouldn't be that much extra sustain in his favor.
He's doing okay for now. He is surviving. It looks like, unlike the prediction we saw from Memento, level 1, level 2, and level 3 have not been ganks from Broxah in the mid lane. But now top lane, as you predicted, Deficio, does appear to be the center of attention. See if WhiteKnight get the fancy footwork, is going to get locked up under the tower, tries to bring it back. Decent damage does manage to go down to him. Can they get him though? He gets the Spirit's Refuge. Bwipo tanking the tower.
Oh,
the team now locked up. Broxah running for his life. Caps, no mana left. Good save comes in from Kold. Broxah forced to use the flash, but 2 traded back on the Unicorns of Love.
Unicorns of Love, they read that situation. Kold ran from base. He rushed towards that top side. Didn't run past the camp first, which is like, nope, they're definitely going to tower dive to Shen here the moment they realized Caps went missing. So this was a pre-level 6 gank from Fnatic. Will only get stronger. For now, though, WhiteKnight stayed alive.
Forces out the TP. Will have the stand united before the TP is back off cooldown. So still will have some global pressure. Bwipo may not be so lucky as he does TP back to the top side.
So definitely expecting to see that play again. Exileh might save his TP just to be ready to react in case it happens within the next few minutes. WhiteKnight is looking for Tiamat early. Of course, he wants to try and match some of the wave push from a Sion, but it does make him fairly squishy against these potential tower dives.
And Caps will have the level 6. He will have the Weaver's Wall before WhiteKnight's flash is up and available. If they can find the collapse, it will be much easier to pull off the dive this time around. Interesting though, Caps has opted for the tier early Archangel Staff, generally a very powerful item. A little less immediate return on investment than the Ludens, but Taliyah can be quite mana hungry as the game goes forward.
From what I can see, this is the first professional Kassadin game in a major region where he's taken fleet footwork. So we can actually call it an Exileh special for this specific game. And you highlighted already, trying to get a bit of extra sustain for himself, especially can help against some of the early poke. And then I think the 30% movement speed in late game, when it's all about jumping in and out and moving around as Kassadin, could be valuable, but he's losing some early damage, that's for sure.
And to be fair, the precision tree not too bad for Kassadin as far as things go. Does have presence of mind. We all know about the presence of mind. She's unlimited mana. Ha 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 on a Kassadin. Yay. 2-second blink late in the game. Pretty frustrating to deal with. But Deficio, the focus remains on top side. And you got to give WhiteKnight some praise. He's not succumb to it quite yet. And Exileh now starting to trade a little bit more confidently. Caps, though, no hesitation just to throw some rocks in the face.
Important that Exileh safely gotten to level 6. But once again, it's tower dive top lane time. It's a double longsword, fairly squishy Shen.
Exileh's backing. He will see that the play is happening. Kold is nowhere nearby. WhiteKnight may just have to sacrifice his life. He is in the pool. Not going to matter. First blood drops from Bwipo. That's the way to start on the stage.
And that's exactly what they wanted here. They know the side lane is going to push. They know they can keep killing the Shen and get ahead that way. Bot lane is again that Tahm Kench lane. You can't really tower dive it easily. So they're correctly playing around top side, and it's working for Fnatic. First blood for them. Ton of damage on this turret. WhiteKnight can't TP back to it. Good start for Bwipo as well.
And we talked about shutting down the Shen pick, stopping him from being able to roam, ganking that lane because you don't want him to show up anywhere else. And additionally, Deficio, we talked about what happens when Rekkles gets to the mid game on Tristana untouched. It's a terrifying prospect, so things do just seem to be going in Fnatic's favor at this stage of the game.
That being said, Unicorns, they realize with this kind of draft, you're probably going to fall behind early game. It's kind of what you accept because the reward for getting Kassadin to late game, especially with the Shen, is so high. And that's why Exileh getting farm mid, not dying at all, is still okay for the Unicorns of Love. If they can stop the bleeding and not fall further behind, it's still an okay early game. They know Caps is going to keep leaving the lane, because there's no point trying to kill the Kassadin 1v1 for him. He knows these trades will happen all the time. And nice little dodge from Exileh.
Trying to bait with Kold there in the brush. Not going to find the opportunity quite yet. Falling behind in the early game, though, always a scary prospect. We have seen many teams struggle to close in the late game. Fnatic has not been one of those teams. Very consistent when they find those leads in the late game. Only Misfits really able to take them down. And
just like last game where we had Vitality playing this 1-3-1 comp, it is the same setup for Unicorns of Love. Kassadin one lane, Shen the other one. These kind of drafts tends to lack some wave clear, and yes, if they fall behind a lot, they can't really set up the split push, and they look pretty weak. But as long as your split pusher, in this case the Kassadin, are farming and doing fine, you have a threat. You have a lane you can play around, and that is the goal. But it's a pretty difficult draft to execute, and that's why I said, like, respect to Unicorns of Love and Sheepy for pulling out this kind of draft against Fnatic and saying, you know what, we think we can execute it.
And I did get to speak to Sheepy before the game start. He did say that his plan was to beat them into submission and force them to surrender. It's not going to happen in the early game, Deficio. But Unicorns of Love can hope that the mid game will bode just a bit stronger.
All right, there's a banner early. Broxah is back top lane. WhiteKnight hates his life.
Stealthed up, is going to get knocked up as well. No, the dash out, well played. Broxah now leaping to safety. TP consumed by Exileh. Caps is on the way in. They might just look for the double. Are they going to find the follow-up? WhiteKnight walks back into the tower. Tower just actually going to be the target as WhiteKnight tries to sidestep. Will get knocked up. The chain CC comes in. That might be all it takes. Second kill going to drop. Caps takes down WhiteKnight.
Fnatic are getting early turrets, early kills for themselves on that top side. Unicorns of Love, they have to respond on the other one, and that is what Kold is doing here. There's TP from Sion in just about 10 seconds, but that's not enough to just instantly come down and stop this push. So Unicorns of Love trying to get a turret for themselves. Good cross map, good call from Kold.
Tornado will come out. Shield comes out as well. That's Eye of the Storm, and they're going to have to back
didn't
off.
Get it.
Not going to get the tower. This means a 2k gold lead for Fnatic.
And Caps recalled. He's here now. TP from Bwipo is ready in just a few seconds. Unicorns of Love, if they stay and go all in for the turret, they might get punished, and that's why they're backing away, realizing they lost the battle for now.
And just well played by Fnatic in this early game. We thought we wanted to see a lot from Broxah in the mid lane potentially. Instead, they opt to go top lane. They start to snowball Caps. They start to snowball Bwipo. The solo laners for Fnatic looking really good right now. And for a first game from Bwipo, this is exactly what he wanted as far as starts go. The team willing to play around him. And I like that Rekkles, who is so often the center of attention on the Fnatic lineup, willing to take a step back to let the other lanes succeed.
What a nice teammate. It's definitely not the coach being like, yeah, bot lane, no one cares right now. Let's just go top lane.
I mean, we heard from Rekkles that he just wants to win. He's not worried about being it. He's willing to give that carry responsibility up.
I mean, I also think this split, it's been a lot more about like someone like Caps. Not saying it's just about Caps, but they've definitely been able to rely on him a lot to be a carry, and also played around mid in some of the games. I think Broxah has done his job. Even though it wasn't camp mid lane as Memento wanted to see. So instead camp top lane, and I guess solo lane, same thing for Broxah.
At the end of the day, makes the impact that matters. Still technically snowballs his mid lane as Caps manages to come up too. Now with Rift Herald down as well, this could be another tower. Exileh getting aggressive onto Caps. Trying to slow him down, trying to lock him up, taking a lot of poke in exchange, but Broxah is waiting off to the side.
Now we have to remember that if it's fight around mid lane, then WhiteKnight can join with the ulti. Putting it always in a 2v3 advantage for Unicorns of Love in these kind of trades. Exileh has been farming okay in the game, not died at all, and sadly for him, the laning phase is already over, which means he has to go down to a lane where he might be dealing with an AD carry and a support, and as a fairly low-level Kassadin, you can't really do anything against both Tristana and Janna, because obviously Caps can hold mid with Taliyah all game long. So we are currently seeing Exileh just trying to grab whatever farm he can on the Kassadin, and Unicorns of Love did not get ahead early game, fell behind due to the top lane plays, and will now just have to try and get whatever farm they can and not really look for any big aggressive plays just yet.
And it's difficult. You look at top lane, you see the massive deficit WhiteKnight has been put in. It makes sense given the amount of attention that Fnatic have given him, but still difficult to play with. And Exileh, we praised him for surviving in the mid lane. Some of that might be to the fact that he started with the Catalyst, that he's working towards the Abyssal Mask and giving up a lot of the damage, maybe delaying that powerful Kassadin spike we come to expect.
See what happens on bottom side here. Kold is invading in. Bwipo is already down here, so it is a 5-on-5 if a fight breaks out, because Shen, of course, comes in. Samux hits him, almost heals the Sion.
Bone plating, man. Quite strong. Ooh, Samux. That's a terrifying thing. Fed Sion. A solo queue special, not something we always see in these games. When you have that much XP, when you have that many ranks in your abilities, pretty easy to make the base damages do work for you. Now, Unicorns of Love trying to make a move here. Grouping up, Shen is on the top side, can make his way into the fight. Kold gonna leap right out. And Fnatic posturing around the Drake, looking to secure this mountain for themselves. 13 minutes in, they still have the gold lead, but not gonna take the fight in the end. Unicorns Love backing off. They're gonna allow Shen to hit the top lane tower. Trying not to give anything up quite yet.
Broxah starting it now. After pushing bot lane, Exileh is back in base without TP, so Fnatic, they control the bottom side. Knowing there's no mid laner to contest it. Kold is moving in just to check, but there's nothing Unicorns can do. So smart move, take the top laner down to mid lane, have your AD carry push bot lane, and then you control 2 lanes around the Drake, and you can just secure it without a fight even happening, and Sion can go get all the top lane farm. So just a clean play from Fnatic, and Unicorns, they know it's just farm. Farm, 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 levels on Kassadin. It's not the most exciting comp to watch for the first 20 minutes because of that.
Exactly. But one thing, Deficio, it's just Fnatic taking it slow, taking it steady, looking to close out the game. It feels like they are still kind of playing against the clock to a certain degree, but they can be comfortable. They're at the top of the standings. Yes, they lock first place with this win, but for Unicorns of Love, this is everything. They either fall down with H2K at 6 and 10, or they start to contest again. They start to look for that playoff spot, and every game is important like this. But for Fnatic, they're like the only team in the league right now that is not scared. And that has to be so frustrating for Unicorns of Love to play against.
It's true, but Unicorns, they knew this game would be super hard. Like, this is not the one where you highlight, okay, we're going to get a win here, and of course we're then going to move straight towards playoffs, but if they can upset Fnatic, if they can get that win, then suddenly they go into next week looking like one of the favorites to make playoffs. Because they're still kind of hurting from the fact they started 1-8. So despite them winning 5 games in a row, beating all the other bottom teams, because the schedule is so tough now with all the top teams remaining, it might not be enough unless they can pull off at least 2 surprise wins. They're trying here.
Trying to get something. Hylissang will get slowed up, but the tornado is coming out. Samux may be the one that's caught out as they try to turn it back. Totoro says no. Not going to let that turn against them. Unicorns of Love still playing aggressive, still wanting to force these plays. Exileh has to be careful. Broxah hunting in the jungle. May just look for Kold here. Good damage. Not going to come out as the passive is still up. And Fnatic just going to take the tower in the meantime. Struggling to hold on. Bwipo comes in the mid lane. Too little too late, but not needed in the end.
As expected again with the drafts, the Fnatic will control early. Also have to look at how Unicorns wants to play once we get past that 20-minute mark. Once Exileh can actually threaten someone, it's a lot about attacking someone 1v1 in a side lane, then have Shen ult come in to make sure that Exileh will always win it. But that's not going to happen if Fnatic get really far ahead and they can just group on Baron.
Yeah, Fnatic playing. I mean, Soaz not being here, I think a lot of people were concerned this would be a big issue for Fnatic, but Soaz believes, and looks like the faith is well placed as Bwipo's playing quite well. They're willing to play around him in the early game. Fnatic looking good. And Deficio, these kind of games are so, I feel like, so hard to watch sometimes because you're wondering, like, can Exileh do it? You're always at the edge of your seat, like maybe this is the fight where they finally manage to turn it around. But if they don't, this is going to be like the Rekkles show coming into the mid game because he just is getting to free farm constantly. Caps is doing incredibly well in terms of itemization. And while we wait for Unicorns of Love to try to find their win condition, Fnatic just get to own this game.
For now at least, but it gets harder and harder to play the map if you're Fnatic and farm all 3 lanes. We have to remember there's a Tahm Kench mid as well. So it's not just a Shen ult coming down, it's also Tahm Kench plus a jungler or an AD carry showing up in a side lane. And that's why for Fnatic, Caps is playing super safe bot lane. He always gives up the push. He knows he's going to get jumped if he actually tries to contest.
Oh, 3 stacks does go down. Totoro going to leap in. It looks like Caps may just drop here. Hylissang trying to find the disengage. A lot of healing does manage to come in. Saves the day in the end. Well played by the Fnatic support.
But they got the flash. If Caps shows up in a side lane again, Kassadin jumps him. Rekkles and Hylissang might be the ones who have to go down and try and hold the Kassadin, but then it's 2 members spent on holding 1 lane. Unicorns of Love will keep trying to push mid, and then make sure that Totoro can ult towards one of the side lanes. And this gives map control to Unicorns of Love and makes it a little bit harder for Fnatic. They're kind of waiting for another objective to spawn so they can play around that, so they can stay together as 5. The moment is hard for them. Exileh hit level 11 now. Actually delayed his tier early game. Went straight for Abyssal Mask just to not set himself further behind in the laning phase, and then gets a tier now. So it's going to be a very slow one for him. So he's actually putting a lot of focus now on just extra scaling towards late. I think he needs to value getting stronger a little bit faster. But of course, this will spike really hard once it's fully stacked and upgraded.
But he's delaying it so much, right?
Yeah,
because
that's
like
risky.
He didn't delay tier for a damage item, Deficio. He delayed it for an Abyssal Mask. So Exileh really putting a lot of faith in the late game. This is the late game, Deficio, that we're talking about.
I guarantee you he's gathering Storm as well on this Kassadin. So he's extra ready for the late game. It does mean Fnatic are not too scared of him at the moment. They know the Unicorns of Love can't really win a team fight against him. And as long as Caps doesn't get caught in the bottom lane by Shen and Kassadin, they can keep just farming.
Ping's going down on Totoro, feeling comfortable just to poke him out. Not a lot of threat.
Caps just ulted out bot lane because Exileh jumped towards him. Let's see if we get a fight around mid. Bwipo's moved down.
Broxah now trying to engage on a Kold. Kold now running for his life. Has already used the Arctic Assault. Can look to get the setup on the knockup. Immediately going to go into Samux. Shot for his life. But Bwipo is here. Is going to get the knockup. Biting him down with the decimating smash. Broxah going to bring it home as he takes down Samux.
Oh, beautiful driving skills right there from Bwipo. Dodging around the walls and then getting close enough to Samux. He can actually knock him up. They're going for bot lane.
Oh, he's trying to make it out. The great escape. Now it is Exileh on the run as Tahm Kench is going to ferry enough members to safety. Has so much mana. Trying to play patient here. The mission impossible. Exileh, can he make it out? Challenging Smite, not gonna need it. Broxah grabs another one.
Meanwhile, top lane, some damage from WhiteKnight at least. Fnatic will take the last outer turret bot lane. WhiteKnight is trying to get the top lane one. Technically, Sion can just TP up here if they actually feel like it's going to die.
Deficio.
They're just gonna send Taliyah.
I think Unicorns of Love fans might want to start being a little bit nervous at this point in the game. I know we talked about Kassadin, I know we talked about late game scaling, but 4K gold deficit 20 minutes in, this many members strong, a fed Kha'Zix, pretty terrifying to play against.
Baron spawning soon. Another Mountain Drake alive that Fnatic can take, so they have double Mountain to destroy a Baron in absolutely no time. Fnatic have all the tools to snowball this game. Unicorns are trying to get a pick now.
Oh, Caps is going to get taken out. 3 stacks, 4. Could just get dropped down. He will. WhiteKnight getting one back. That will delay the Fnatic Baron.
Oh, and now this Mountain Drake could go to Unicorns of Love if they go towards it. That can be big for them. Baron is alive in a few seconds, but that would still be very risky to go straight for it. This is the play down the bottom lane from before. Bwipo moves down from top, knows that that's the way to always play against the Shen. Push him in, move down, join a fight, flash in, and then look at ult here. Just around the wall. Beautiful, gets close enough that he can land the knockup, and Samux will die.
And I like the patience. So many people just start with the decimating smash. He just walks him down. He says, hey, Samux, I'm going to get to you.
But Juniors, they need this Mountain Drake here. They're going for the fight.
They want to get it. Kold now trying to find the fight onto Hylissang. Hylissang is going to try to make it out of safety. Kold trying to keep himself alive as WhiteKnight will make it into the fight. Bwipo could get taken down. Stun not going to come through quite yet. Hylissang with a beautiful disengage to save the rookie player. Static Shiv does connect. Unicorns of Love cannot catch a break this game.
Oh, I can't really blame them for turning to fight there because it was 5 versus 4, but we have to remember they have almost no damage at this point. Mid-game Caitlyn and tank Kassadin stacking mana. They couldn't actually kill anyone in time. Good ult from Hylissang, and then in the end, Fnatic still get the Mountain Drake. I think Unicorns could have just tried to finish the Drake, trade that one so they're not against a double Mountain team who wants to snowball around Baron.
And this is so tough to play against. Kha'Zix on the isolated damage. You've got Rekkles there as well to just shred through it. Caps going for the Leandries as well. This is going to be so incredibly difficult to play against. So easy for Fnatic to take the Baron if they're even given a single chance.
And Exileh still needing more time with his build. The late tier now, Ninja Tappy on his side. He's basically telling his team, guys, we need another 15 minutes here before I'm really strong. And that is a problem for this team against double Mountain Drake Fnatic. But as long as they can continue to push side lane with Kassadin, there's a lane Fnatic are scared to try and, you know, match him in due to Shen, due to Tahm Kench. So there's always like the map pressure. So there's a lot of communication required on Fnatic's side to constantly talk about, okay, Tahm Kench missing. Is there any chance he shows up? Kassadin going aggressive. Is Shen in position to ult?
Good that you mentioned that on Fnatic. Still playing a difficult game despite the lead that they have built for themselves. Maintaining it around 4K. Double Mountain Drake. A good position to be in. We check in on Samux and Rekkles. Rekkles with a small lead. Both AD carries at 2 items. Both want to be at 3 to be relevant in the team fight to come. Truly terrifying, though. Totoro very happy he picked the Tahm Kench this time around, as Broxah is going to have a lot harder time eliminating Samux from this game, where there's Devour there to keep him safe. But Deficio, so much of this team just hasn't been utilized yet by Unicorns of Love. The Stand United only used really once in that other exchange. Tahm Kench only really using the ultimate to escape. They haven't gotten to use this map mobility whatsoever yet.
Yeah, it was a little bit surprising to see the Shen when they couldn't really snowball early game because of Kassadin. Typically, you want to have Shen if you didn't play around bottom side, and you can be super aggressive with that. But when they then lock into Kassadin, they know they're losing the mid lane push all game long. And then suddenly they can't really play too aggressive in the side lanes, and Shen just end up kind of sitting there, not having a target to ult towards. And he was a really easy lane to shut down for Fnatic's side. And that's where there's definitely some issues, and made it really difficult for Unicorns to play the early game. Bot lane, of course, just went even. Basically just a farm fest between Rekkles and Samux. And now we have this moment in the game where Baron is alive. There's another Mountain Drake spawning. Would be even better for Fnatic to get in. Unicorns are just still trying to buy more time for this Kassadin.
Until the Baron drops, they're in a decent position. They have Caitlyn. Not the worst champion for dealing with the Baron-empowered minions. Single banner of command, good to have. And of course, for Unicorns of Love, Deficio, it's a tough road. We talked about it. Fnatic is the first step on this road, and arguably the hardest.
Definitely the hardest.
Now, the good news is Misfits and G2, they're struggling a little bit, but if you're not putting up a contest against Fnatic, you are in a tough spot.
But that's kind of the thing with Unicorns of Love. If they could win this game, suddenly next week actually look like very winnable for Unicorns of Love. It could be potentially a 3-game win streak they could be on against some of the top teams in Europe because of Misfits actually sitting with this group now in the middle after they've been losing more games. You guys can see it here. Misfits Gaming 7-9. Unicorns of Love can definitely win that one.
Yeah, and in 2014, 2015, you would not have gotten away with this, but the league is so close this season, Deficio, that a single win actually decides whether or not you make playoffs for just about every single one of our teams.
Yeah, and if you can get 9 wins, it should pretty much lock you in playoffs. Unicorns of Love will have to win all 3 games to get there, starting with this Fnatic game here. And it's a slow mid game right now where Exileh is getting to scale a bit more, but it feels like Fnatic are saying, you know what, let's get another Mountain Drake and then just go Baron with 3-item Tristana and destroy it, and then we look to close out the game.
And Deficio, it's terrifying because on the one hand, you're right. Like, Unicorns of Love getting to scale up, getting more time, that looks good for them, but you're also looking down at a Rekkles Tristana with a Janna to peel for him.
With an Ardent Sensor.
With an Ardent Sensor. Very few teams have taken this man down on this Tristana.
I always find it fun when I see Hylissang, the man who the last 2.5 years in Europe used to just play aggressive supports, flash in all the time, make big plays, get put on Janna. Rekkles basically tells him, do not leave me. You are staying next to me every single time, and you just buff me.
Oh, Samux now running. Totoro not going to get picked off. Hylissang there to buff Rekkles if necessary, but Totoro now running for his life. Rekkles leaping forward. Bwipo on the way in, not going to connect in the end, though. Good start, though.
Very important for Unicorns they stayed alive. If they've died there, Baron instantly would go down, and suddenly we could look at a massive, massive goal lead for Fnatic. But this actually bought them at least a little bit of time because all Fnatic went back to base right after. WhiteKnight gets to push out bot lane. He's not died after the early game, and he might die now.
Already burned the dash. Ignite immediately comes down from Hylissang. No hesitation as he knocks WhiteKnight back to the wall. Should be an easy pickup for Rekkles. Has the Ardent Sensor, has everything he needs. Broxah coming over the wall. Looks like WhiteKnight wants to donate this one to him, but Rekkles says, nope, my kill, as he takes down the Unicorns.
And now Fnatic, they ping straight towards that Baron here. Unicorns, they know. Try and kill a few wards, place their owns, and then stay around. Fnatic, after getting a kill on WhiteKnight, right back towards mid lane, and look at Bwipo.
Caps coming in as well. They're looking for the flank. Could find him in the pinch. Kold and Exileh both have the mobility options. Kold may be the sacrificial lamb. Exileh waiting off to the side. Stun not going to connect. Unicorns will love narrowly escape. Flash for Hylissang. They want Exileh. They want to take him down. Caps is on the hunt. Flash for Caps. If they kill Exileh, they can't get Baron. He does manage to knock him back. Now leaping out. Flash away to try to make it to safety. Goes right over the wall. Chasing a Kassadin. A bold decision, but Fnatic are on the hunt. Now it's Broxah's turn. He's got a flash too. Is he just going to burn it?
Didn't do it. WhiteKnight is alive now with Shen ult. Fnatic did not manage to start an objective. They're still chasing.
Broxah's on the hunt. If he gets to that brush, he's going to get the movement speed steroid.
Oh, he didn't do it.
I don't think Exileh could have ulted again. The cooldown and the mana cost way too much.
They didn't know if there was more members sitting in there. Broxah did not want to take the chance, and he stepped away. Let's see what happens mid here. Sion ult.
Bwipo does manage to connect onto Totoro. Samux could be in trouble as well. They immediately going to grab the pick. Samux in trouble. Kold now running for his life. Fnatic still find the pick. A lot of flashes down, but they're in control right now.
I mean, they've been controlling the mid lane all game long, and now once again they're looking towards Baron. Or will they just kill a few wards? They can definitely start it and turn to fight. There's only the support death though on the other side, and they get the fight here.
Oh, Kold, that is not what the team needed. Jungler has to stay alive if they want to contest. Ult's going to come in from the Shen. He's just trying to buy time. He's just running for his life. Rekkles not going to take the aggressive option and leap over the wall. Will back off instead.
All game long, Fnatic start a fight. Unicorns try and run away. Fnatic now go start the Baron. Double Mountain Drake on their side. 2 members back in base for Unicorns to love, and this Baron is gone in just a few seconds.
Triple Mountain Drake, so good, Deficio. Fnatic grab the Baron. On the road to locking first place here. 7K gold lead. No real wave clear on the side of Unicorns of Love. Difficult for them to pull this off. Difficult for them to answer the banner of command and power creeps. This is going to take a hold, Deficio.
And Exileh finally got some AP. Upgraded the tier. Sadly for him, he's only stacked just about 500 mana on it. 30 minutes into the game, because he got it after the first item was already completed. So he's not getting full value just yet. He's only sitting on 130 AP on this Kassadin here. Gathering Storm is there, so yes, he gets a bit more advantage the later we go, but I don't think Fnatic will allow Exileh to get to a point where he's a real massive late game threat, because it's going to be so slow for him. Now we have the Baron buff on their side.
I mean, Exileh needs to be more concerned about how he's going to threaten these minions at this point. Deficio has to stop.
He's not going to kill the banner.
He can't, man. So tough for Unicorns of Love. Exileh, though, unafraid. This man says, I finally got a bit of damage.
Oh, he's going for caps.
I'm looking for a fight. Is going to back off as they spot the rest of Fnatic coming. But it looks like they don't want to let them use this Baron for free. They say, we'll give up bot side to Bwipo. The rest of you, though, you got to be ready for a fight.
Well, Fnatic can just push mid as well, and then they have 2 lanes pushing, and they don't care about Kassadin sitting side lane. They just take all your turrets then. They have Banner of Command now coming in. They have the Baron buff. Kassadin can do whatever he wants in side lane. They don't care.
Ult comes out from Bwipo. Does manage to get the knockdown onto Totoro. He's going to get canceled out in the end as Kold is now running in. Rekkles leaps forward. He's going to try to kill Samux. He is going to grab one back. Leaps right back out. That's the double. Face of LCS making his name known as he grabs 2. Now Fnatic are pushing in. 5-man strong. Gonna take down the inhibitor as well. Deficio, is this just the end of the game?
I mean, they got the banner right there. They got double or triple Mountain Drake. Why not?
Exileh, you've been scaling for 30 minutes, brother. Is it enough? Are you going to find your way in? It does not look like it, because Rekkles has 2, 3 items. More than enough to bring it home. He wants to grab a few more. Hylissang picks one up. First place for Fnatic.
And Fnatic, they felt in control all game long. This draft from Unicorns could never really be aggressive unless Kassadin quickly reached a point where he could assassinate people. But he built very tanky and delayed a lot of his AP for much later on in the game. But by the time we got even closer, because we didn't get there yet, and we are 30 minutes into the game, triple Mountain Drake plus a Baron, Fnatic win the game. I think The draft, and we said this a few times from Unicorns of Love, was so risky. Like, there was so much in terms of execution that had to go in their favor. Fnatic knew what to do against it.
Absolutely.
They never try to kill Kassadin 1v1 in side lanes because they're like, yeah, that's kind of the one way you can kill us.
And I love that Fnatic brought in a substitute player and played the exact same way we would have seen them play under any circumstance. Bwipo fitting in the team immediately. They play around him topside. They chain gank the Shen.
Looks like they like him more than Source because he got 2 ganks in this game. And I've only ever seen Source get 1 gank.
All right, that is fair. Giving a lot of love to the new player. And of course, this would have been Soaz's 100th game in a row with Fnatic. Bwipo comes in, stops him at 99, stops the streak.
Before 100.
If he had lost, Soaz probably would have been upset. But locking in first, pretty good way to start your first game on the stage. And of course, just in the final moments, it's like all eyes on Exileh. Is he scaling up? Is he enough? And it's like, oh, but also Rekkles is on Tristana and has 3 items. Good luck.
Again, prefer Fnatic's draft. They knew what to do in-game. Them locking first place, well-deserved. They have overall been the best team and the most consistent team in this crazy EULCS split where most of the teams just drop games left and right and surprise us all the time. Meanwhile, for Unicorns, yes, we talk about how if they could beat Fnatic, it would be fantastic in the race for playoffs, but this was not the expected win for them. Next week, against Misfits and against G2 eSports, that's where they got to pick up 2 wins if they want to make it into playoffs.
Both those teams potentially vulnerable. We've seen a lot of cracks in the armor. A lot of opportunities for them to be exploited. But for Fnatic, I mean, we came in, everyone expected them to be #1. They changed 1 member. Hylissang, many people argued was an upgrade. It was shaky at first. But then after a few weeks, once the team got together, once they started playing around team fighting, everything just looked so good for the squad and this lineup. Now they're getting a sub in there as well to develop him. Fnatic definitely on a road to success so far.
Looking like the best team going into playoffs. Guaranteed the bye is also great. Don't have to play quarterfinal. Always helps. You get a full week to watch all the other teams play. You know exactly who you're playing against. You have potentially 5 games you can actually VOD review from that quarterfinal to prepare for your semifinal. It's always a big, big advantage. And this Fnatic team, there's only one goal, and that is win EULCS. They have not made the finals in 2 years. Rekkles talk about it all the time, how badly it feels for him. They have to be able to make the final this split, and they look like the favorites also based on the regular season to win it.
I'm excited to see it. Of course, we are gearing up for an interview with Caps here momentarily. In the meantime, it's terrifying is actually what I want to talk about, to play against Fnatic now in playoffs as well, because historically they've been the team that tried crazy stuff in the last few years. And I want to see if they kind of bring that same identity in, if that's the kind of team that they're going to be in best of 5. But after our match of the week, Bwipo, Broxah, and Caps are fighting for title as player of the game. You can give us your pick at LO Esports on Twitter. Deficio, who would you give it to?
I mean, Bwipo played really well.
Bwipo did play really well.
They played around him. He did everything he should. When he got ahead, he roamed really well towards the mid lane. I think he did super well.
First game, locks in first place. Pretty strong case. All right, well, enough from us. Let's see what Caps says after taking down Unicorns of Love.
Thank you very much, Drakos. I am joined by Caps. Congratulations on the win, and congratulations on locking first place in the EULCS.
Thank you.
How does it feel?
I actually didn't know we locked us in first place now, but it definitely feels great. I kind of expect us to get first place now that we've been #1 for a few weeks, and it definitely is really nice because it allows us to try out new things. For example, this game we definitely tried out a new strat. So
yeah, you brought in Bwipo, that's one thing, and secondly, you actually decided to camp top, which is something I'm sure Soaz would have liked you to do a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, Soaz wasn't playing, so camp top lane.
So you've secured the bye going into playoffs now. You know you're going to be going to Copenhagen, either in the 3rd place match or in the finals. How is your mentality going to change over the next few weeks?
So we're definitely just gonna prepare for playoffs, and as like this game, we will try to play more difficult comps to execute. We've played a lot of like late game things, but I think right now we're gonna try to focus on the early game because, I mean, that's what we want to practice for playoffs. On that, I just think it's nice to be secured in Copenhagen. I really don't want to play for 3rd this year though, but other than that, it's nice.
Well, you've only got one best of 5 to win between then and now, so hopefully you can win that one. I want to talk a little bit about playing for early game. How does that specifically change your play for Fnatic? Like, what do you need to do to play better in the early game?
I mean, I think it's mostly about champions, what you play. Obviously, when we play Victor versus Ryze, it's going to be really fun for late, and when we play Taliyah versus Kassadin, then I will have full priority. So So it's mostly about champions, and when you don't have the champions, it's also about executing on the champions.
Okay, because sometimes we've seen teams deliberately camp mid lane in the early game to shut down Fnatic. It worked for Vitality twice this split. Is that something you're looking at changing?
I mean, this game I was playing Taliyah, and I just went enemy jungle level 2, and then I know I won't get ganked.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Good luck in playoffs, of course. Anything you want to say to your Danish fans out there?
I want to say thanks for supporting me. I really hope that we're going to be playing for first place. I don't think Fnatic will want to get another third place.
Well, good luck in playoffs. Thank you very much for joining me, Caps. We're going to hand it back across towards the analyst desk. Guys, take it away.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Medic, and thank you very much, Caps. Fnatic locks in first place, and Caps made sure he said it. We don't want to play for third place. We want to play in that final in Copenhagen, and it's good to hear from his side. It's refreshing to hear that Fnatic, maybe also with the substitution, they're looking to still improve. They're looking to still get more tools in their tool bag to play to win these important games that are coming up, try new compositions, etc.
They want to make sure that when they go into that semi-final where they have locked themselves in, they do get the bye, that they do not have another Misfits Fnatic last year where they end up getting upset, they have to play in the third place match, and they want to make sure that they have all the tools at their disposal to guarantee that final, to play in front of that crowd, and to do their fans proud.
And that is what they have been working towards the entire split so far, and then it came to this game versus the Unicorns of Love to lock in first, and they played with their new top laner, or with their substitution top laner Bwipo, and he had a fantastic start. We gotta admit, Fnatic put a lot of resources into him.
Just a few.
But maybe that's the right choice.
Yeah, the whole game plan was very much, you know what, let's shut down the Shen. He doesn't really have many lanes that he can look to take advantage of because, unfortunately for Unicorns of Love, they drafted a bit of a difficult-to-play composition, and so Fnatic took advantage of that. They spent a lot of time trying to put WhiteKnight behind, set up the young new player for success, and even once they won the game, you heard them all gather around and rather shout 3-2-1 Fnatic, they said 3-2-1 Bwipo.
Yes, I did
It's all
hear
about
it.
giving this man confidence and making sure that he feels good and a part of the team.
And he also won player of the game with 77%, 77% of the
Wow.
vote. That is one of the highest percentages that I've seen actually in a split for well, anyone winning
Fnatic
this.
fans welcoming the new top laner with open arms. I'm sure they're more than happy to see him coming in and start off with a great performance.
Yes, very good from him. That is, of course, a question. We can discuss this later in PGL. How many times will we see this guy on stage after? We don't know. But for me, it is definitely a good sign to see that they've locked in first place. And what Cap said, we want to try new drafts. We want to try more complicated things. Throughout the split, they've relied a lot on Caps. They've relied a lot on Rekkles. And these guys have been playing phenomenally. But it's good to see that they're looking into other things. Broxah is really finding his own. They're trying new things.
And for me, it's one of those situations where I think everyone's kind of aware that Soaz isn't super comfortable on every champion. He does like to make plays. He's a bit of a playmaker. And perhaps Bwipo is that alternative that can come in and say, hey, if this isn't the meta that suits you, I can come in, I can help support, and I can keep Fnatic afloat when you're still finding your form. So having that flexibility, having that option is never a bad thing. And I just love the fact that we're now seeing teams in Europe experiment with the sub, because I think it's going to be even more valuable as the year continues.
Just Fnatic 4 now. They lock in first place, and impressively so. And coming up next, we've got Schalke versus G2, which features another epic mid lane matchup between Yukdok and Perks. We'll take a look at that in a few more minutes.
King. He will see the